Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Andrew Chow. We're on a series on interviewing a lot of speakers for our upcoming Asia Professional Speakers Convention happening on 31st of August to all the way to 4th of September. It's going to be a 5 days convention. We have a total of 45 speakers. Can you believe it? And we have 27 and a half hours of solid content.
A Johnson & Johnson Standards of Leadership Award winner. Our next speaker is the founder and principal consultant of 8 Treasures and Trilogy People Performance Consultancy. She authored her first book in the Being Happy and Successful series in 2012, and in April 2019, she released her 4th book, Effective Asian Leadership, Today and Tomorrow.
We all go through life journey. We experience different kind of experience. Your experience and mine will be different. Your story and mine will be different.
So I'm going to now bring on our guest and our speaker, of course. Let's welcome Jeanette Jung. Yeah.
Thank you, Andrew.
Yes. It's very, very poignant because I remember I see a familiar book cover. So I remember I was one of the first few and we were doing that interview. And I still keep the book. It's printed on really good art paper. And it's really awesome to have you in our convention. And this convention is, of course, spread over 5 days. And you are on a very important day. And you're going to be on a panel session. Before that, I just want to ask you, what's your latest project right now? What are you busy with?
First of all, thank you, Andrew, for inviting me to share my viewpoints for this particular series and convention. What am I busy right now? Currently, actually, there are a couple of projects, but the 2 key ones is, the first one is actually I'm producing a YouTube series as part of a promotion to launch 1 or 2 of our online products and reports in this particular season, because I think what I observed during the COVID-19 circuit breaker, and especially since beginning of this year to July this year, when I compared the data, there's actually a double in terms of number for one of our top sites in SEO in terms of visitation numbers. So when I tweaked some things over there, I realized there was a double in sales in our report. So we are continuing to actually launch new reports. I'm going to use YouTube to promote these particular series and products. Then the other project that I'm actually working on right now is what you saw earlier on in the video on corporatetrainerconnect.com. It was originally launched in October last year to basically target the B2B market. But I think with COVID-19, it was a little bit difficult. So we decided actually to pivot the model to B2C. So the first one was actually leadership during crisis, where I interviewed about 30 leaders on sharing why it is important to pivot. And this next coming series that I'm working with the trainers on the corporatetrainerconnect.com platform is how to actually prepare and help individuals create their future today, because actually we're already into the new economy. So right now we're in a series of discussions to create the programs in this particular series, and I'm also helping some of the trainers who's actually on the platform convert their offline content, whether it's slides and all those, to an online content on the platform Disperse, where I collaborated with them. They are actually a capability development platform. So they are available in 66 countries and have more than 300,000 users worldwide. Glad to actually work with them to be able to customize such that when trainers actually create their online programs, they don't have to pay the hosting fee. I'm working with them such that they write on corporatetrainerconnect.com to just create the programs free, and I will only charge them a small fee, and then they only get charged when they have students. So that's what I'm actually quite busy now with.
So what are your criteria of selecting the trainers on board?
There are a couple of categories within the trainers itself. So right now we have about 50 trainers. I have not gone aggressively out to get more trainers, mainly because I wanted to ensure that we build the brand name of the trainers that are currently on board. So we have categories from mental health to leadership to digital marketing. I'm also looking for trainers in the IT portion. So long as actually they have been training, and I spoke to them, I've seen their CV, they're quite all right. It's actually free to join on the platform.
Okay, that's very, very interesting, because most of the struggles with a lot of trainers is that they may have capability of converting their stuff online, but they don't have a tribe to market it to. To me, I see the value is that if you have the connections already, then it's like a mall that has branding and everybody know how to get there. It's just a matter of getting the right tenants, so to speak.
Correct.
Yeah. So
and with a platform like that and how we are going, we're not limited to one country. So in fact, the principal who's dispersed is so excited. They're actually going to market this particular platform with the trainers within the ASEAN region, starting from Thailand first.
So will there be a translation provided? Because if you are reaching out to Asia as a whole, or even global, so many countries, definitely some people would like to have it in their own languages. How do you overcome that challenge?
That's a very good question. We're going to start with English first. That's why it's currently limited probably in the English-speaking countries within ASEAN first. But I think the principal actually has language translation capabilities. In fact, they market a platform that actually has over 60 courses on it. Whereas my strength is basically more on the content creation, on curriculum development. So that's where I come in actually to work with them there.
I see. That's awesome. So trainers out there, if you want the world as your oysters, I think this is a good platform. You know where to find Jeanette. If you do not know where to find Jeanette, very simple, just sign our convention and you can network with her. For every day in the morning session, we will begin to open our door, so to speak, at about 8 a.m. Our actual program in the morning starts 9 a.m. And in the evening itself, our program starts 6 p.m., but the door will be open at 5 p.m. So you can come in and network and talk to each other. We'll be on Zoom primarily. And of course, in the afternoon, there'll be a 90 minutes hands-on from 1:30 to 3 p.m. So 90-minute slots. I myself, I will be in day 4. All right, so that is a hands-on. So it's not just talk. You need to practice. You need to do certain things and so on. So, your session, Jeanette, will be as a panel. So the panel discussion is on day 4, pivoting the business. Day 4's theme is on technology. And in the evening, we're going to talk about how do we pivot our business. So pivoting is something that we always talk about, but it's always great to hear some of the actual stories by our panelists and learn from them, get some inspiration. So since we're on the topic of pivoting, so Gina, I want to ask you something. The last 3 months, right, since the lockdown, since our circuit breaker, how have you pivoted?
How have I pivoted? I think this question, like you said, we've been talking about it for a long time. I started pivoting actually about a decade ago because one part of my business is actually the retail brick and mortar. So we had to move some parts of the business online to e-commerce. What I saw in these last 3 months during circuit breaker, which I actually mentioned a little earlier, is we started actually having a lot of online reports previously, but the sale were not as great. During the circuit breaker time, I basically started looking at analytics on Google on some of my sites. And I realized that one of the calculators that we had doubled the volume. From 15,000 last year, it went up to 30,000 this year in terms of site visits. So originally, my lead form there was just to collect data, but decided to try something new. I said, why don't I just try a link to promote one of my reports there? So interestingly enough, then we had doubled the report sales. And during that period of time, because we do have on the retail side, the items already on Lazada, on 99 SME, on our own Eight Treasures website. So we saw a peak actually in terms of site visits and purchases as well. There were, I think I monitored for 3 months. The sales actually from international site went up by 85% in 3 months. That was quite good. Then on the training side of it, it was great that basically we had the corporatetrainerconnect.com platform. So it was the first time that I decided we want to do B2C. Then I had to do live streaming, video recording, video editing. So I didn't use StreamYard, I used BeLive. So in the video, we did the Leadership During Crisis Summit series itself. And that basically led to a lot of awareness and confidence in some of my clients, the training clients, who then originally had training programs that were supposed to be done outside of Singapore. Then they agreed. So we expanded actually the participants from 15 to 50. Instead of a regional, it became a global training event. From there, I utilized actually the online pre-engagement program so that they can learn the concepts first. And we focus mainly on engagement and breakout sessions on the application of the concepts during the actual training. So it's been a pretty busy 3 months. It was quite fun. I think the key thing though was not necessarily worrying about the actual numbers of whether you get the sales, but really just focusing on the activity and just targeting and finishing one task at a time.
I see. That's awesome. Before I let you go, I have to ask you this golden question, right? Because the theme of our convention is Write the Future. But how do we really encourage someone who is down, who is maybe not getting the opportunities anymore, who may not have any much engagement in the last 3 months? What can you motivate or encourage a fellow trainer like this in times like this? What are some of the 1-2 things he or she really needs to do right now to get herself back on track?
Yeah, I think this is a very, very important question, because a lot of times we get put down by our emotions, and if we do not actually be aware of it, then we sink lower. So I think one of the first things that is important for anybody who is actually currently feeling very down is you're not alone. Actually, everyone is also having it tough because the world is actually in a constant flux right now. There are so many changes. One of the most important thing though is if you have stayed in contact with your clients, then you will generally be able to understand what their problems are. If you focus your effort and energy not so much on whether you actually close any sale, but more on how you can actually ride this crisis through with your client. And there will be some small opportunities that maybe at the beginning there is not much of a revenue, but because of what you're doing for your client, they will come back and give you the opportunities. And focus on small activities, focus on small wins. I sell one report for only $29. I don't think about whether is it in thousands, I lose 50,000 or 100,000. I think about whether do I get one small win at a time, because I think at this particular moment in time, any small positive milestone that we get across, our confidence level will move up, and therefore we will feel better and do better in the longer term.
So just do small and the big will eventually come. Always start small.
Yes.
Of course, we think big, but we always start small, and everything else will snowball as a bonus. And I really like that because it's really hard to get something going when something is down, especially now that we are not meeting, we can't meet so much, we cannot have so many brainstorming or copy session, everything is on Zoom, and it adds on to the Zoom fatigue because there's so many seminars going on And even our convention, our meetings are also on virtual. So it's really a Zoom fatigue. We call it Zoom fatigue, but online fatigue. And that is why our convention really appeals to more than just speaker and trainer. If you are a leader who is suffering from a little bit of burnout, this is a convention you can come to look into the future and be better prepared. So
Yes.
Jeanette, thank you very much. We're going to say goodbye now, and we'll talk again very soon. Hopefully the 31st August, you can also join us. Okay. So
Thank you
on
for your time.
behalf of PSS and my team in marketing, we want to say thank you. Okay, bye-bye, everyone. Thanks, Jeanette.
Bye.